Hey yo, what's poppin' gamers? Today I'm going to be showing you my first project in Android Studio. This is basically a calculator app. First I'll show you it in action. So I have this phone emulator over here. First thing I did was change the background to something cool. Here's the app. You can go in and then it basically lets you add or multiply positive integers. So I can add 54 to 65. We get 119. You can multiply them instead. Change the number up. You know, that's basically it. One thing that took me a little bit to figure out was making it so if there's nothing here, it won't crash the app. Because for the longest time, the app would crash if I hit add right here. But now it'll just give you a message letting you know that your input is not valid. And then just for the heck of it, I made a camera button here. I just wanted to see if I'd be able to add something that could open the camera. And so you just click this button and it opens the camera for the phone. Since it's a virtual camera, it just gives us this weird place you can take pictures of. I'm not really sure how that all works, but that's pretty much what it is. So that's basically the app overview. One issue I do have is when you do an integer that's really large, it will just crash the app. That's something I do need to work out. Yeah, so I started right here with this design layout. You basically put your boxes and buttons and everything here. It's pretty simple that way, and then once you have that done, you start working with actual code. Imported quite a few things to make it work. You can just ignore all that. First thing I did was I initialized all of the buttons and stuff, and then what I did is I made this is like the function right here for when your app starts. And then I made a new initialization for each of the objects in the app, like the buttons or the input spots. And you use that by like a find ID method, and then you basically have to set these equal to these, or I guess no, these are initialized, and then here you're actually assigning them to something, which is the objects in the actual app. Then what I did is I just wrote code for when the buttons would be pressed, because nothing really happens in the app until you press a button. So I have code for the add button, the multiply button, and the camera button. The camera one was pretty simple. I did have to look up some stuff for that. But yeah, this function basically just tells it to open up the camera. I don't know a whole lot about how it works, but it does, so we'll take it. The let's see, addition one is pretty simple. When this basically just calls this function when the addition button is pressed. So what the first thing it does is it makes new variables number 1 and 2, which will be these two spaces. And then it checks to see if these are not blank. And if they are blank, if either of them is blank, then it'll just give you the message saying your numbers aren't valid or whatever. And then once it passes that check and that passes false, then it'll actually calculate it. So it takes these two numbers that we initialized here and sets them equal to whatever is in these spaces. And then it makes a new variable, which is sum, that just adds them together. And then it takes this spot right here and just makes that equal to whatever the sum is. The multiplication one is pretty much the same thing. Initializes number 1 and 2, checks to see that they aren't blank. If neither of them is blank, then it changes these two variables into whatever's in those spots, then it multiplies them and changes that or this into whatever the answer is. Hopefully that makes sense. I do have some future work I'd like to do on this, like adding a subtract and divide button, obviously, and then maybe in the future add like number buttons you can press instead of using these or typing on your keyboard. It basically be like this UI but built into the app, if that makes sense. I don't know what I just did. But yeah, that's pretty much the app I've made. Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you all on the flip flop. See you later.